and she's hearing all those stories of how Krishna's growing up in Dwarka. He moves on from Vrindavan to Mathura, and from Mathura he moves on to Dwarka. So all the residents of Vrindavan are complete anxiety, being in separation of Krishna. And like I said, there's a common theme between the three questions that I asked you earlier. One is, why is Radharani speaking to the bee? Question number one. Question number two is, why do we celebrate Jagannath Rath Yatra? And question number three is, why didn't Lord Chaitanya go to Vrindavan and stay there? After a lot of difficulty, he actually managed to go to Vrindavan. The first few times his attempts were foiled, and then finally he went to Vrindavan, but he came back and spent most of his time in Jagannath Puri. And Mother Shachi also begged him that please, you don't go to Vrindavan because Vrindavan was so far away from Navadvip. She said instead, why don't you go and reside in Jagannath Puri after you take sannyas? And Jagannath Puri and Navadvip are considered like two rooms in the same house. So she said, why don't you please go and reside in Jagannath Puri? So the third question is, why didn't Lord Chaitanya stay in Vrindavan, but instead he stayed in the Gambhira in Jagannath Puri? His Antya pastimes were all performed in Gambhira. So as we were discussing, Krishna is now in Dwarka, and all of the residents are, I see a hand raised, Bhima Prabhu, or is that by accident, or did you want to say something?
I just wanted to, when you're asking these three questions, when will we be responding? I would like to hear the answers. And I come in and out of service at the farm here, so I just wanted to know when we were going to answer those questions.
So that's the whole discussion today. That's what.
Okay, great. We'll talk at the end then. Okay.
Yeah, and also through this
Okay, good enough.
Yeah. So we'll touch upon these three questions, and they seem apparently unrelated, but there's a theme that connects all three. So as Krishna is in Dwarka, and later in Bhagavatam we see how there is a solar eclipse, and for the occasion of solar eclipse, all the Dwarkavasis and also the Vrindavanvasis decide to go to Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra is considered to be a holy place. So for solar eclipse, they decide to go to Kurukshetra to perform their ritualistic ceremonies, take a bath in the holy river, take a bath there, and so on. So at that point, all Krishna and all the residents, the Yadus from the Dwarka and all the Vrindavanvasis, they meet after a long time of separation. And all the Yadus are overjoyed to see the Vrindavanvasis. All the men hug each other. The women are elated. They embrace each other. And Mother Yashoda is there. She's seeing her little boy, she's meeting after so long. Their hearts are pained in separation from not being able to see each other for so long. And the gopis also come there. Now they're seeing Krishna, and so they're so overcome with this feeling of love for Krishna. But now Krishna is different. It's different. He's grown up. He's not that same Krishna, the simple Krishna of Vrindavan. Now he's the king with the armor, like with all the attire of a king, the crown, and he has wives. Now he's living a life of opulence and wealth in Dwarka. He's no longer the simple boy that they knew. He's no longer that naughty, mischievous Krishna they had intimate pastimes with. So all the residents are looking at Krishna, that we are after all simple residents of Vrindavan. Most of them were not much educated. So they're thinking that now Krishna is of another class. He's another sort of, he doesn't belong to Vrindavan. So will he even acknowledge us? Will he even look at us? Are we just some low Vrindavan residents? Maybe he would think that it's embarrassing to be around these village people. Let me distance myself from them. So all of these feelings are coming to the residents of Vrindavan as they're longing to be united with Krishna again. And Radharani and all the gopis, they look at Krishna And there's a beautiful verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Let me read that verse. This is a beautiful verse composed. Actually, what happens is in Vrindavan, in Chaitanya, in Jagannath Puri, there's a long story. I don't want to get into this. We don't have time. There's a long story about how Rupa Goswami goes back. He meets Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, and he's staying with Haridas Thakur. And he composes a beautiful verse, understanding the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he composes a beautiful verse. I'd like to read that verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita Anti Lila, chapter 1, text 79. And the verse goes like this. That very personality, this is Radharani's mood. This is Radharani saying, in Kurukshetra especially. That very personality who stole my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover, yet my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva under the Vetasi tree. That is my desire. And text 79. My dear friend, now I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani, and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but I would still like to go to the bank of the Yamuna beneath the trees of the forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of a sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he saw a leaf at the roof of the hut, and he picked this and he read this, and he was so happy when he read this. He slapped Rupa Goswami in the back and he said, "How did you understand my heart?" And Sarup Damodar Goswami said, "It is undoubtedly your own mercy by which he has composed this beautiful verse." So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also in this mood. So going back to Kurukshetra, all the Radharani, all the residents are pining in this mode of separation, but they see Krishna, but it doesn't feel the same way. It's not Vrindavan. It's the sweetness of Vrindavan, the intimacy of Vrindavan is not there. Krishna is now without his flute. He's now with his sort of whole army and his opulences and a Kshatriya attire. So they're not feeling that Vrindavan mood. So we celebrate Rath Yatra in this mood of bringing Krishna to Vrindavan. So that's the mood of bringing Krishna to Vrindavan, to the sweetness. So Dwarka is considered like, Jagannath is considered like Dwarka. And I'm blanking out. Gundicha is considered as Vrindavan. So from Jagannath to Gundicha, when we bring Jagannath, it's like bringing Krishna from Dwarka to Vrindavan. So there's a beautiful story about how in Dwarka, Krishna would day and night, as residents of Vrindavan are longing and pining for Krishna. Krishna also is really yearning to be in the presence of Vrindavan Masi. So day and night, he's just dreaming of Radharani and the gopis, and in his sleep, he keeps talking about Radharani and gopis. So all the queens of Dwarka, they keep wondering, who are these gopis? Who is this Radharani? So they ask Rohini Mai. Again, I don't have time to get into the exalted position of Rohini. She has a really unique position in all of Krishna's pastimes. So they ask Rohini that what is so great about Vrindavan and all the gopis, and why does Krishna even in his sleep, he keeps talking about gopis and Radharani? So they ask Rohini, please narrate some of the pastimes. But Rohini says that these pastimes are so intimate, it's hard for you to understand in Dwarka. Dwarka is a place of opulence. Vrindavan is sweet. Madhuram, everything is sweet. All the relationships of gopis and Krishna is sweet. So she says that if Krishna hears this, he'll go into ecstatic trance and he may not come out. Or worse still, he may go running to Vrindavan and he'll never come back. So she says, I have to be careful in reciting these pastimes. So Subhadra, Krishna's sister, is also there. She says, don't worry, let's lock the door and I'll be standing from outside. I'll be guarding this place. As soon as Krishna and Balaram come, I'll give an indication that they've come and you should stop the pastimes. So they all agree. So Rohini is narrating the pastimes of Vrindavan, the sweetness, the love they have, and all the wives, they're stunned when they hear this intense sweetness and love. How love can take such a heightened form. And as you're hearing, Subhadra outside, she's also hearing, excuse me, and she's guarding with her hands like this, but she's also hearing those pastimes, and she's so stunned in those ecstatic love of Vrindavan Vasis. She's so stunned, she's developing this Asvasatvika Vikar, or says the Mahabhav Prakash, that her arms contract and her pupils dilate, and she's stunned when she's hearing this. And right then Krishna and Balaram, they arrive. But since she's in the stunned form, she can't react. She can't say, oh, Krishna and Balaram, they're here. Stop the narrations. So she's stunned. And Krishna and Balaram, they're like, why? What's up with Subhadra? Why is she in this ecstasy? So they put their ears to the door to hear what's going on. Krishna is to the left of Subhadra and Balaram is to the right of Subhadra. And as they're hearing, they hear all those pastimes of the past in Vrindavan. How years ago they used to spend these sweet, innocent times in Vrindavan, away from all the opulences. And they are also stunned in this ecstasy of their pastimes with Gopi and Radharani and Mother Yashoda. And they also go into these symptoms of ecstasy. And that's the form of Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, with their eyes wide and their sort of arms like this, arms contract in their body. And right, the Narad Muni arrives. The Narad Muni sees this, and he says, I have seen the form of Jagannath. This form of Jagannath is very esoteric. And again, we don't have time to go into this whole beautiful pastimes of Lord Jagannath. And as Rohini then realizes their whole purpose is defeated, Krishna has now become Jagannath. He's sort of gone into ecstasy. Balaram has also become Baladev. And she stops the narration, and then Krishna and Balaram and Subhadra come out of that ecstatic trance, and Narad Muni sort of offers his obeisances and his prayers. And Narad Muni says that, please bestow your mercy on Kali Yuga. And Jagannath Krishna says that, yes, don't worry, I'll manifest in this exact form for the benefit of all of the residents of the world in Kali Yuga. So that's Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. They take that form. So when Krishna is not there with Radharani, that's form is Jagannath. And there's also beautiful stories of how once, as the gopis in Vrindavan, they're suffering from this intense longing to be with Krishna. Krishna is also suffering with this intense longing. And he's gone into the state of trance, and he's rolling about and he's chanting Gopi, Gopi, Radha's names, Radha's divine holy names. And in the state of trance, all of the residents are wondering, what did we do? And then Uddhava arrives at that moment, and Narad Muni is also there. And they're thinking, what do we do? Krishna in this state of trance, let's somehow try to revive him. So Uddhava says, Narad Muni, you chant the glories of Vrindavan. You're such a beautiful singer. You chant the glories of Vrindavan. So Narad Muni says that, yes, I can sing, but as soon as I sing, Krishna will come back from his ecstatic trance, and he immediately will run in that state of madness, transcendental madness. He'll run to Vrindavan. So let's be ready. We don't want him to sort of run all the way to Vrindavan. Let's have his chariot ready. So they say, okay, good idea. Let's have his chariot ready in his charioteer Daruka. So as soon as Krishna is in the state of trance, let's put him on his chariot and let's take him to Vrindavan. But then The Uddhava says, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. I've seen what Vrindavan is. When Krishna sent me, I went to Vrindavan. And all the residents of Vrindavan, they're almost dead. They're half dead. They're almost lifeless. They're living their life just in this hopes that somehow, someday, Krishna will be back. There's no life in their bodies. When Krishna sees this, he will never be able to forgive himself. Krishna will die when he sees what he has done to the residents of Vrindavan, what he's done to his mother, beloved mother Yashoda, who literally raised him, who used to chastise him, who used to chase after him with a stick. All the residents of all the gopis, all their beautiful pastimes, what he's done to them, when Krishna sees this, he'll never forgive himself. Or worse still, he'll never come back to Dwarka. So Uddhava says, I have seen this. So that's not a good idea for Krishna to see them like that. What do we do then? So then they're all brainstorming. So Narada said, then, okay, Uddhava, why don't you head to Vrindavan first? And you tell them, Krishna's coming, Krishna's coming. There's no need to sort of be in this extreme state of anguish. But then Uddhava says, no, I was there already. Krishna sent me. And I promised them. And now again, if I go back, I promised them that Krishna will come. And again, if I go back, they're not going to believe me. It's not going to work out. They won't buy what I'm going to say. So then they're thinking, then what do we do? Then Balaram says, okay, they say, Balaram, why don't you go and tell, they'll believe you. Balaram says, no, I was also there in Vrindavan for 2 months. And Balaram says, how can you console a fish out of water? Can you console a fish that's out of water saying, just few more minutes and you'll get water and you'll come back to life? Balaram says, it's impossible. And besides, I've promised Mother Yashoda that the next time I'll come back, I'll bring Krishna. So then Balaram says, no, that's also not going to work. What do we do then? So they're all sort of wondering, and then Subhadra is there at that point. Subhadra says, don't worry. Balaram, you go and I'll go with you. I'll tell all the gopis, I'm also a simple woman like you. Take my word, Krishna and Balaram is here and Krishna is also coming. Don't worry, Krishna's coming. And this way they'll come back to life. And in the meantime, we can take him, Krishna on the way, he's coming to Vrindavan. So they say, okay, good plan. So Narada Muni starts singing the glories of Vrindavan. And then Krishna he comes back to sort of his external state, but he's still in this intoxicated state of the love of gopis and the Vrindavan residents of Vrindavan. So he immediately comes back and he sort of stands in the Tribhanga form. And that Tribhanga form is only for Vrindavan. He doesn't stand in that Tribhanga form holding a flute outside of Vrindavan. That is Nandan Krishna. That Shyam Sundar Krishna is not in Dwarka. That's sweet. Of course, Krishna's form is ecstatic everywhere, but that form of Tribhanga is only in Vrindavan. So Krishna is standing like this, but there's no flute because Krishna doesn't have flute outside of Vrindavan. So Krishna is saying, okay, where's my flute? But Krishna is still in this madness, in this transcendental madness, thinking that is Vrindavan. So he's saying, where's my flute? The gopis must have hid my flute. Where's my flute? He's running around. He doesn't realize he's not in Vrindavan. Where's my flute? Did the gopis take it? Did Radharani take it? And then he sees Uddhava. And then he sees Narada, like, Uddhava, Narada, what are you doing here in Vrindavan? Narada, what are you doing here in Vrindavan? And then he realizes that he's not in Vrindavan, and he's still in that intoxicated state. And at that point, they get their chariot ready. And they somehow they say, Krishna, yes, you're not in Vrindavan, but we are here to take you. So they take Krishna. Krishna sort of in this intoxicated state, he's sort of staggering, and somehow they take him to the chariot. They hold on either side, they're holding Krishna. Somehow and in the meantime, Subhadra and Balaram, they're on their way to Vrindavan, and Krishna is also now on his way to Vrindavan. And when they reach Vrindavan, Subhadra and Balaram, they're stunned again. They can't speak. And Baladev and Subhadra again go into that Subhadra and Baladev form, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra form. Their eyes, pupils dilate, and their arms contract, and they're stunned looking at the love. How can someone have so much love for Krishna? And as Krishna is arriving, Radharani is also in Vrindavan. She's also almost dying. That's it for her. She's tolerated somehow this pain. Now she's going through this final states of, it's known as the death-like symptoms. So she's almost in that stage of, although yes, they don't die, but residents of Vrindavan, but she's in that death-like final stages. So the word spreads in Vrindavan. Radharani is about to die. She's about to leave her body. And all the residents are begging, please don't leave. If you leave your body, Krishna will never come back. So Yogamaya arranges for Radharani to go to Nidhivan. Because Krishna's at that point arriving, and Radharani is in her deathly form. Her life is about to leave. Her breathing is slowing down. She's laying down. Her eyes are now closing. And that is the state Krishna arrives in Nidhivan. And he's seeing Radharani lifeless. And at that point, Krishna also becomes in this ecstatic state of Jagannath. Krishna becomes Jagannath, and his eyes again become wide like Jagannath, and he falls down to the ground. And both Radharani and Jagannath are like lifeless on the ground. And just then a breeze comes, hits Krishna's body, and then goes to Radharani's body. And Lalita and all the gopis, they're now finally there in Nidhivan, doing what they love to do. And Lalita whispers in Radharani's ear that, Radha, Shri Radha, Krishna's here, he's finally here. And Vishaka goes and whispers in, Krishna's here, Krishna, wake up, Radharani's here. And then they both sort of get up and they look at each other, and that's their eye-to-eye union. After years and years of separation, they are now in each other's company. So, and then Krishna, when he sees Radharani's love, he says, I was floating in the love of your transcendental love, like a log. And in Kali Yuga, I'll come again as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and just for the purpose of displaying the glories of your love, because Radharani, out of her humility, wouldn't display her symptoms. I'll just wrap up in like a second. So Radharani, of course, being in her exalted state, and also a chaste woman, she's not going to roll over the floor just to make a show of her love. But Krishna wants the whole world to know Radharani's love. That's why in Kali Yuga, he comes in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but in the mood of Radharani. And he's now rolling on the floor, suffering all the anguish, transcendental anguish that Radharani suffered. And also to show the world how glorious Radharani is. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came in Kali Yuga, he was suffering in that mood of separation. So he didn't go to Vrindavan, he stayed in Puri. Because the whole Krishna Leela, in one sense you can see, is like a symphony orchestra, and this height of the symphony, the pinnacle of this love is this mood of separation of Krishna from Radharani. So that's the form of Jagannath in the height of separation. Imagine a symphony is reaching this crescendo, the topmost peak of love. It's this reaching this crescendo, and that crescendo is Jagannath. He's in this mood of separation. So to answer the question, what is a common theme? Why did Radharani speak to the bee in her mood of transcendental madness and separation from Krishna? Why do we celebrate Jagannath Rath Yatra? We're trying to bring back Krishna and relieve the anguish of the residents of Vrindavan. Why did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not go to Vrindavan? He wants to understand the mood of transcendental madness of Srimati Radharani. Only Srimati Radharani knows what she went through. Those years when she was away, when she was separated from Krishna, day and night they're just in madness. Will Krishna be here today? Will Krishna be here tomorrow? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suffered in that transcendental love away from Krishna. He was in the mood of Radharani. So that's why he spent all of his time in Gambhira and not in Vrindavan. So in transcendental love, there is Sambhoga and Viyoga. Sambhoga is union, and Viyoga or Vipralamba is separation. So in Viyoga or separation, Vipralamba, the love is heightened 1,000 times. It's like a wave of ocean just rising in its high tide. So the wave of love is heightened much more. So that union, if you're always united with Krishna, you can experience that love of separation. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Puri and not in Vrindavan to experience that mood of separation. So anyway, I'll stop here. Sorry I took a little longer. There was much more that I would have loved to share, but I couldn't. So with this, maybe I'd like to hear some thoughts from the audience. Any questions, comments, any feedback?
A wonderful class, Prabhu. Thank you. This is why we spend our time in New York, not in Vrindavan.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Jeffrey Eckler and Bhima Prabhu have their hands raised.
Yes, Prabhu, please. I think Bhima Prabhu's hand was from the
He has all the answers. He was very anxious.
Bhima Prabhu was pointing to Jeffrey.
To end your class 5 minutes in.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I have a quick question. Thank you for this class. In the verses we read, the gopis appear to be communally remembering the rasa dance. However, when we hear the Rasa Leela, it's as though all the gopis believe that they're there with Krishna alone. So how do they remember it as a group, but when they experience it, they feel like they are with Krishna alone?
So your question is rasa dance, they were all together. They were performing rasa dance together, but they still had a feeling that Krishna is with them, right?
Right.
So when the gopis were with Krishna in the rasa dance, they were aware that there are other gopis.
Okay.
So, and they're all there to serve Krishna. But Krishna reciprocates in such a way that each gopi is feeling that Krishna is with me alone. And that's not just with rasa dance. Even when the cowherd boys would spend their afternoons in the beautiful sunny Vrindavan, in the beautiful forest of Vrindavan, they're all having lunch together. And it said that there were like hundreds and thousands and millions of cowherd boys, just like there were millions of gopis in the rasa dance. But each one of them, they would sit in concentric circles around Krishna, eating their lunch boxes. And each one would feel as if Krishna is looking at them only and reciprocating with them only. So this is Krishna's ability to reciprocate with each and every one of us, his ability to fulfill our innermost desires. So this way, Krishna fulfilled the desires of each and every one of those gopis. But yes, the gopis, although they were feeling Krishna's with me alone, they had the sense that we are all in this together to serve together for Krishna's pleasure. It is not just my own service. So that is the mood of Rasa Leela. And also in Harinam Sankirtan is different from Japa. Japa is our own connection with Krishna. And when we do Harinam Sankirtan, we are putting aside our individual egos and we're collectively serving Krishna for Krishna's pleasure, not for our pleasure. Thank you for that question, Prabhu. That was a perfect question. Thank you. Any other points, comments, questions? Bhima Prabhu, I hope I answered your question.
That was precisely my. Can I? By the way, am I on? Is my microphone on?
Yes, you're
okay. That was precisely my point. I find it amazing when I joined this movement some 30 some odd years back. As a lover of literature, and who I was studying poetry at the time, and I just remember leafing through the Bhagavatam, of course, having absolutely no entrance into it, no true understanding, and of course, leafing all the way to the 10th canto, and I just find it is amazing that Godruma, that a brahmachari, and that in our movement, the acharyas, being as chaste and pure as they are the ones who expostulate, who tell us, who savor, as you have in this class, who savor this very intimate and dramatic intimacy of viparalamba, separation, the love, how the heart reaches out, how the heart is in pain, how the heart is emptied. That almost when there's some bojo, when there's a coming together, that it's secondary to the sort of that tragic sweetness that Radharani goes through. It's so intense. if we were to sit there and muse over it. Anybody who's ever been in a relationship and had, you know, their material heart broken and stuff like that, one remembers and understands that there's nothing more intense. It's similar to, you know, having your heart broken is similar to having someone close to you die. And it's an actual physical thing. And to know that, you know, I was fascinated by the fact that, you know, you have the sahajas, okay, who externally express, cheapen this, these types of relationships, actually abscond with the esoteric, the gifts that are being offered us, you know, in the 10th canto, and Lord Chaitanya's, you know, expression, his moods, his savoring of Radharani's love for himself. You know, these things are just amazing if we just step back a little bit. And it's just amazing. And I also find it very amazing that such aesthetic, discerning, disciplined brahmacharis such as yourself have a full understanding of the breadth and the attraction of these pastimes, and how they're all related, and how, if by simply reading of these pastimes, we become fulfilled and seek nothing in this world on this level. I'm sorry for rambling on. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Arjun Ram Prabhu ki jai. Okay, it's darshan time. This is not enough, Jeffrey Ekta Prabhu. You need to stand up. Joking. It's okay. Jai. Bhakti Center Temple Room Ki Jai. Okay. How wonderful is Krishna that he has a girlfriend, Radharani, and how wonderful that Radharani has Krishna. And there's Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Radharani, inviting and including us in the process of the love between Radha and Krishna. We are included. How wonderful is that? Is that Krishna Daya in the shoe room? Oh no, that's Jambavan. Yeah, that's Jambavan. Yeah. Okay. Any questions, reflections? It's Saturday. We can go over time. We can break the law. Anything? Takeaways? Very esoteric class, Godruma Prabhu. Thank you. Bhima Prabhu?
I'd just like to say we have a painting of at the New York Spirit Retreats at 8th Avenue, the hostel there. And we have a large painting right when the guests come in, and it's Krishna behind Radharani, and Radharani holding the flute, but Radharani's playing the flute. So they both have their hands upon the flute, and it's a very endearing, beautifully stylized. I'm not sure of the artist's style, Bengali style painting, which is beautiful in its natural lines and simplicity. And the guests see this when they come in. And every time our host, Ravi, when they are checking out, he'll take a picture of the guest and himself, a selfie, so to speak, with right behind them. Of course, you see this picture. So these people take this with them. And I think that is the wonderful thing about Krishna consciousness. As Godrum has explained, there's so much to it, and there's no end to it. And it is what you said, Ananda Bihari, how wonderful it is that God has a girlfriend, and that we're invited to hear the stories, and that these stories cover the gambit of sly maneuvers and broken hearts and coming together and going away, and bees and flowers and vines that wrap around trees. So I just would like to say that we Prabhupada, they said what Prabhupada, they asked Prabhupada what would attract people to the movement, and Prabhupada said our culture, the beauty of our culture. And that culture, of course, that cult of Vipralambra, of Samboja, of the love, the prem, the bhav that's shared between Krishna and all the devotees who sit as if in a movie theater, with those pure devotees who sit as if in a movie theater with tears in their eyes.
Yeah, look at Jeff. He's
Feeling
sitting
all that.
comfortably in the movie theater, crying tears.
All alone.
Yeah. No, he's not alone. Jeffrey Eckler is not alone. We're all in this together. So the next step for the hostel would be you should get a flute and have each incoming and outgoing guest blow in the flute in gratitude that they were hosted by Bhima Prabhu and Ravi. Okay? We just have to sanitize it.
No, we just give a dog whistle if they're making any type of noise that would reflect their host Bhima Prabhu. It would be a dog whistle. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay. This is it. The King of Books, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Godrum Prabhu Ki Jai. Thank you so much for giving class. Dear devotees, thank you for receiving this class so nicely. It was esoteric, but Godrum Pran did an excellent job guiding us through it without drifting into Sahajaism.
Or intellectualism. It was like a long song. It was like a long epic a ballad. It was like a ballad he was singing. Yes, very nice. How he brought it right back around again to the end. Why does the bee and the flower and Jagannath and Krishna and Radharani coming together and going away. What do all these things have in common? It was a very wonderful class with a nice denouement in the end. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you for your encouragement, and thank you, Ananda Bihari Prabhu. You are the bedrock for this Bhagavatam class every single morning. Thank you for your steady service, your steadiness personified every single day. You can't miss a day, so that's amazing. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for encouraging me. It's my lifeline. My lifeline. I'm normally in Maya, but when I'm in class, at least I know I'm not in Maya. That's all right. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram.
Hare
Have
Krishna.
a wonderful